Hi, that's Clay again. I'm making another video. This one is about Harry Potter. I'm going to basically talk a little about each book and say which is my favorite. Basically, the ranking order is 1 through 7, 1 being the highest and 7 being the lowest. Here we go. First one, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. This is a really good introduction book. It introduces this great world, and it introduces great characters, and it's just a very fun read. A few little tidbits. This is not meant to be a knock on J.K. Rowling at all. I think the writing was a little simplistic in this one. I think she's a fantastic storyteller and a really great writer. I just think she definitely improved as the stories went on. So I think you don't really see it too much when you first read it, but I think if you go back and reread the first one after reading the other ones, you can notice it's a little simpler here. The prose are a little not as descriptive as in the other books. My other thing I'll say is it seemed a little unrealistic that Harry, Ron, and Hermione could get through the enchantments to get to the Sorcerer's Stone so easily. It just seems that if the teachers, are such, strong with magic and just such, experts in their field, they should have been able to make these traps, not as easy for first years to have gotten through. I mean, I know they were kind of meant for their strengths. Ron's good at chess, so there was a giant chessboard he had to get them through. Hermione's good with logic, so Snape had a logic test. It just doesn't seem as real. It shouldn't have been that easy for them. So ranking from 1 to 6, I'll give that one a 6. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I liked this book, but I don't know, just not as much as the first one. Just I don't know, something I just wasn't able to get into it quite as much. Just something about the story of itself. I mean, I thought the Chamber of Secrets legend was interesting, and I liked how basically it started bringing over, the corruption of, government in this story. Basically about how Fudge takes Hagrid just to make it look like they're doing something. I thought it was a good sneak peek into what will later become much more central issues. The story of itself, I just wasn't able to get into it as much. So ranking this one from 1 to 7, I'll give this one a 7. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. This is my favorite book in the series. I pretty much think of that book as the moment you're in a relationship when you fall in love. The first 2 books I liked a lot, but the third book I love. I thought it was just a fantastic story. It was so gripping. It kept building to places you would never have thought of, and then it just hits you somewhere where you just, once you find out Sirius is not a Voldemort supporter, but in fact was framed for Peter Pettigrew's crime. It just is phenomenal. Was probably my favorite book to have reread, because it's a completely different book once you know the twist. So basically, from ranking 1 to 7, Prisoner of Azkaban is definitely 1. Moving on, I apologize for the condition. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. The ranking of this one probably changed the most of any book. The first 3 stayed the same always. This one, it started off as 2, but then kept going down just because the other ones were better. I thought it was a really good book. I enjoyed the Quidditch World Cup in the beginning. I really liked the Triwizard Tournament. I also really liked Ron and Harry's fight. I thought it was just very well done. Just kind of Ron almost, as Hermione said, one time too many, and he just could not take someone else, having glory over him and just kind of having to be shuffled off to the side. I thought that was really well done. One criticism I'll say is, it just seemed to me that once you realize Mad-Eye Moody was Barty Crouch Jr. and had been basically trying to get Harry to Voldemort, it just seems a little odd that it had to take until the end of the year, the whole, like, for the end of the Triwizard Tournament for this to happen. It seems like he could have, at some point throughout the year, got him alone and sent him, to Voldemort. The other thing I'm curious about is, well, they said you can't, actually, no, I was just about to say you can't dissipate or repay to other Hogwarts things, but no, they used a Porky, so that's either an issue. But anyway, from 1 to 7, I'll give this one a 5. Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. I think it is a phenomenal read. It is just a fantastic book. I know, even though it's the longest book in the series, I wouldn't take out anything. I liked how just it shows just the world changing, how basically just almost how people are just blinded to the truth. They would rather just do whatever they can to hide the fact that Voldemort's back. Umbridge was, I'd definitely, after Voldemort, I'd say she's the best villain of the series. She's just, you love to hate her. There is not one moment you just want everything terrible to happen to her. I know there were some people that said that the fact that Ron, Harry, Hermione, Luna, Ginny, and Neville, like, it was a little, they thought it was unrealistic that these 6 teenagers fought, a bunch of Death Eaters. But I think it was very well done. Two things. One, they'd basically been training for an entire year in combat, so it definitely seems like they'd been able to, not be annihilated right away. And also, if you read it, you'll notice they did not do that great. Pretty much all of them got, like, injured at some point. Some more grave than others, but I mean, pretty much no. They didn't really stand that much of a chance. They pretty much were just barely holding on, trying to stay alive until the Order of the Phoenix came. The fight between Voldemort and Dumbledore was fantastic. I think the best magical fight we've seen in the entire series. And I love the chapter, The Lost Prophecy. I shed a tear or two when I read that chapter the first time. It was just so powerful. So ranking this from 1 to 7, this is a 2. Alright, the next book, unfortunately, I don't have a copy with me, so I can't show it. It's Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I thought this was a really good read. I like that we learned the whole backstory about Voldemort and basically how he basically became to be, and how he basically why he was ultimately able to survive the attack on Harry when Harry was 1. The Ginny Harry romance, I liked it, but I don't know. It seemed it seemed like there was a little too much hidden subtext leading up to it. I think I would have liked it more if it could, I guess in the 5th book, maybe by the end of his relationship with Cho, he had maybe started thinking of her a little more. It just seemed like all of a sudden, like, they see Ron and him see like Dean and Ginny kissing, and just all of a sudden that he realizes, I'm in love with this woman. I think I would have liked it a little more just a little more obvious lead up. Dumbledore dying was I don't care. Even if it like you can see it coming, is just, I mean, I defy anyone to not read that who's a Harry Potter fan and not get at the very least choked up. I had to stop reading for several minutes when I first read that. It was just so powerful, and the fact that Snape did it, just I mean, obviously when you read the 7th book you realize why, but still, you just another little tidbit I had is it seemed like Dumbledore was a little short with Harry. I mean, I can understand why. First off, he knew what Malfoy was doing, so he obviously was annoyed that Harry was so persistent. And also, when you realize in the 7th book when he's dying, basically he knew he was on a timetable, and he felt this was far more important than Harry's concern. But overall, I thought it was a really strong book, and so 1 through 7, I would rank this 3. Wait, no, I'm sorry, 4. I messed up. Yeah, 4. And finally, The last one, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. For a very long time, I debated which was my favorite, because I loved both Azkaban and Hallows almost equally. The reason I ultimately picked Azkaban as my favorite is because that, as I said earlier, that was the one that caused me to fall in love with the series. But that was such a phenomenal book. I think that's probably the greatest textbook example of the phrase "It's always darkest before the dawn," just because the amount of horrible things that happen, and not just deaths, even though there is so many, we lose so many beloved characters. Hedwig, Dobby, Lupin, Tonks, Mad-Eye Moody. It's just, Fred. Oh my! When Fred died, it was. It's just. I mean, there was just so many horrible things that happened. I mean, the Ministry of Magic falling. You know, Ron, Hermione, and Harry just having to basically strike out on their own without, to find the Horcruxes. Ron leaving. Hermione being horribly tortured. Just, there's so many just things you can't imagine. But it is just so tightly written. It is gripping. It just, really, you just want to keep turning the page. You just can't stop. I think the chapter when Hermione got tortured, I don't think I've ever read that fast in my life. And I really loved how they tied into the first book. Just how when you finally discover, why the connection between Harry and Voldemort, and how he was able to, to come back from being killed, I thought was greatly done. And the final chapter, just Molly Weasley, just that infamous line, just in her fight. I think you probably could have won a lot of money if you had taken bets of who would have finished off Bellatrix. If you had said Molly Weasley beforehand, you would have made a lot of money, because I don't think anyone would have expected that. And just that final fight between Voldemort and Harry, I loved. Probably my favorite part was just Harry calling him Tom. As I've said to other people, very few wizards were brave enough to call him Voldemort, but only 2 dared to call him Tom. I love the book. And as far as the epilogue goes, I mean, I would have liked there to have been a few more characters, definitely Luna, but I don't know. I think the way it was written, you would have had to have rewritten it completely. Like, it would have had to have been almost like an official reunion for us to get everyone. I think the way it was, you could unfortunately only have a few characters. But I don't know, overall, I thought it was good. As I said, fantastic read, and ranking from 1 to 7, that is definitely 2. Alright, that's my listing of the Harry Potter books. Hope you enjoy it, and feel free to leave comments, because I'd like to hear them. Bye.